We had a person who wants to talk about history, particularly the Civil War period. It's a fascinating time. It was the last time that a presidential candidate from a third party, actually in this case a fourth party, during the election of 1860 was elected. You had the Southern Democrats, you had the Northern Democrats, you had the Republicans, you had the Whigs. They all had a candidate in the election. Abraham Lincoln won. It set the nation in a frenzy. The southern states, as they had the absolute right to do, said, we're going to secede. And one by one, they did. Most before Lincoln even took office. They gathered together. They elected a president, Jefferson Davis. Jefferson Davis had been a senator. He was well known. He was an influential person in America. They had an officer code. They had some of the best officers in the United States Army, Navy. At that time, they didn't have an Air Force. People like Robert E. Lee. People like Raphael Sims. Sims was from here in Mobile. And he was working in the War Department. He resigned his commission. He came home. And he became a part of the Confederate Navy. Sims holds one distinction that nobody else in the war can claim. He was not only a rear admiral in the Confederate Navy, he was a brigadier general in the Confederate Army. And the reason being, this put him on a par with other distinguished people that he might come in contact with. He went from there to conducting a raid on Union shipping. His first ship, he established a pattern. He took the prisoners, he sank the ships. He later became commander of the Alabama. And I'm sure everyone in here is familiar with the Alabama. He led an attack on Union shipping that was unparalleled previously in history. He was a traitor according to the Yankees and a hero according to the Confederates. Depends on which side you're on, doesn't it? And that holds true today. Sims was one of the people that I really respect. He was a gentleman. He did what he had to do. His prisoners said that he was genteel in his treatment. Yet, when it was over with, they wanted to try him. They wanted to put him in jail. But Sims was only a part of this Confederate officer corps. We had Robert E. Lee. Anybody in here ever hear of Robert E. Lee?
Yeah.
Pretty famous. He was known as a gentleman. At one time, he was the boss of the man who became the Yankees commander, Ulysses Grant. And they had great respect for each other. Who's the timekeeper, by the way?
We're at 4:30.
Okay. Lee and Grant actually were friends. During the war, there were quite a few battles. And one thing that I remember is that there were over 600,000 lives lost. This is more than any other war in American history, more than World War II. more than World War I, more than the Korean War, more than Vietnam. More lives were lost during the Civil War than any other war in history. Congress later on made the Confederate dead America. In other words, they were no longer Confederate dead, they were American dead. American veterans. This is a period in our American history that I would certainly not like to see relived. And today, with the division in our country of Republicans, Democrats, conservatives, liberals, blacks, whites, Muslims, Christians, we are seeing some of the same things that they saw in 1860. Let us pray that history does not repeat itself.
Thanks, Nolan, for that. Our next speech will be done by Katie. This is her icebreaker, her first speech in the Competent Communicator Manual. Without further ado, we'll have Katie do her icebreaker.
Toastmasters. Good evening, other Toastmasters and guests, and welcome back. So I started thinking about what do I want to share with you, who and what defines Katie, and I started thinking of the most important things in my life. And I came up with 3, and kind of a theme of F words of family, faith, and fun. And so to share a little bit about my background, I am originally from outside of Pittsburgh. I grew up in a small suburb area called Arnold with my parents, who my dad is a steel worker, and my mom is a local pastor in the United Methodist Church. And so we grew up, and I was also lucky to be in a 3-generational household with my grandfather, who lived with us my entire childhood. I have an older sister named Rachel, and she is a history major and doing well with a Spanish minor. So she's a translator at a company in Pittsburgh. And I have a twin brother, Sean, who is also has a love of history. It's kind of where I got a little bit of it from, who has just graduated from college and is trying to find his path in the world. And so with my mom being a local pastor in the church, I had a good example of a woman of faith, and she helped me discover my own relationship with Christ. And so I grew up always in the church, right? Church dinners and fundraisers, Sunday mornings, children's choirs. It might have been a little bit overwhelming sometimes, but it grew that I knew I needed to find my own path. And so I joined a youth group. When my mom got her first church, I was probably 11 years old, and so I joined a youth group in my a local church, and that really helped me find leadership in the church. And I was able to go on mission trips and find a calling and a purpose for my life. And so over a period of time through high school and college, I was able to go on 6 mission trips between local and international, and find that I had a heart for serving in a community. And that led to when I graduated from college that I entered into a 2-year mission program, and that's what brought me to Mobile. Actually, I was, we call it a Global Mission Fellow, and it was working to engage with local communities. And so I was placed in Mobile 2 years ago, and I've been working with a nonprofit called Communities of Transformation that looks at how we're helping families in transition move forward and accomplish their goals through financial management, job readiness, but more importantly of building community and walking with someone as we look at how we're all setting goals and all thriving in life when some families are barely surviving. And so I love what I do in Mobile. I'm part of a great church called St. John's United Methodist. I'm active in I run the children's department, and as we continue to help the next generation of children and youth kind of find their faith and find their own direction and I find myself challenging them as I was challenged to find their own relationship with Christ. It's not, our parents bringing us to church, but find a direction for themselves. And so outside of all that work that I love, and I'm always at church again, I do find time for myself. And so what I love to do, I love to swim. I grew up swimming. I was on a swim team for about 10 years, and then I transitioned to coaching more kids, 8 and unders, where eventually in the summer during college, I coached a summer league for 3 years, and I loved being able to share that love of swimming, be able to teach how to swim freestyle or butterfly and breaststroke, and it stayed with me. I was very sad after I moved here that I really didn't have the time or the opportunity to swim, and I recently got back into it with a master's program at the Y, and so I'm back to doing my workouts and reminded that I probably should not have stopped, because it's sometimes hard to go back to the yardage that I was doing. But outside of swimming, I enjoy the nature. It's a little hot sometimes in Mobile, as I've discovered, but I'll go to the park or find a hiking trail nearby. I've yet to get on the water, which I really want to do. And I have the opportunity to kind of explore what Mobile Bay has to offer. And outside of that, I love being able to sit in community with friends over dinner, movie nights. I went to a comedy event recently, which was really fun, just having the opportunity to take part of the community events and be with friends and be in fellowship with other people. And so I talk about myself when I love the small moments. I find that joy and that laughter of just playing with kids at all my children's events that we have at the church. You can see me running with them. I shared a couple weeks ago that we were having a trunk or treat, and I was out there in my costume doing a relay race. But I also just that time of fellowship is what I enjoy. Simple things, I think, of a glass of wine with friends or a restaurant dinner, driving probably a little too fast, but I'm learning how to maneuver around the city pretty well. I love the music and just being able to enjoy kind of the art and music ability that I do not have myself. But that is me kind of finding joy in my faith and my family and fun, and just trying to share a little bit of that with other people. So, thank you.
All right, that was, thank you, Katie, for that icebreaker. The next part of our program will be table topics, and our table topics master for tonight is Yu Ying.
Good evening, everyone. I have the typical topic see here. So I think people can choice randomly what they want. And it is but it cannot open. Oh, why? Okay.
And the winner is, what are the 3 moral rules people will never break? 3 moral rules that people will never break. That is a hard one. In many religions around the world, there is a certain levels of morality that no one is supposed to break. And almost every religion has some connection with these different moral levels. But I think that the main connection to morality is that we do not do things that cause harm to others or that cause serious harm for future generations, which of course is also others. But I think that most of the morality that you see in religion is based on that. There are some other things that might be in this religion and maybe not in that one, but most of all, it's that we become true to ourselves and we do not hurt others. So unfortunately, that's only two, but I think those will pretty much cover everything. So thank you very much. Justice gets to be next.
So you want a time for me?
Yeah, I can be your time.
Oh, wait. Go.
Have a good one.
I got time.
Oh.
Hmm. This is a tough one. So if you could live one day of your life over again, what would you choose? What day would you choose? That's a difficult question to answer. There's lots of good days out there. So would you pick a day that was a great one to relive that, to enjoy it? Or would it be better to pick one that you'd like to make changes to and redo and improve? I don't have a good answer to either one of those. But it would be a great opportunity to get to do that. Probably not something that'll actually happen. I'm sorry, struggling with this one. I'm gonna fold. 50 seconds out of it?
Yep.
There's a story behind that. What is the difference between innocence and ignorance? What is the difference between innocence and ignorance? Well, I know the difference between ignorance and apathy. I don't know and I don't care. But what's the difference between innocence and ignorance? Well, I'll put it this way. A little child that does something wrong, and it may be the first time this child did this specific thing wrong, I would say that was innocence in that child's ignorance. As an adult, if you do some of those things that are wrong, for the most part, most adults should know the wrong things. So I don't know if you could put innocence on some of those things, unless they're totally naive. And I don't know. I mean, there are some people out there who you would think shouldn't be that naive, who are. But okay, I'm still not answering the question. What is the difference between innocence and ignorance? Should I go to the dictionary definition? I don't have a dictionary in front of me. Ignorance is just not knowing. Innocence could also be not knowing, but that person may have done something that was unintentional, not knowing that there was any harm to it. So that's my best definition of the difference between innocence and ignorance. Topic master.
Quick one.
What's the best one to pick? Oh boy. I'll leave you told to go. Alright, let's see here. Alright, so fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, my topic is, have you ever regretted something you did not say or do? And to respond to this, I'm going to say yes. I have regretted something I did not say or do. I think as I've gotten older and lived experiences through life, the regret factor has gone down for me personally, because one thing that I used to regret was not acting with my first instinct. And as I've grown older, I've been able to trust myself more. I don't know if that's through life lessons or just through confidence, but I think I've started to regret things less because I've started, when something comes to me instinctively, I act on it now, as maybe 5 or 10 years ago I would not have acted on it. So to answer the question, like I said, yes, I did have regrets, but like I said, as I've grown older, I don't feel like I have those same regrets, or they're not as often as they were prior to that 5 to 10 year window, because I've just learned to trust myself more through life experiences and just through living. So, thank you, Table Topics Master.
Okay. At this time, we'll go into our evaluation period, and our general evaluator for tonight is Lawrence.
Good evening. So far, our meeting has gone very well. We have had the opportunity to start on time. We did spend a little bit of time revising our schedule because so many people didn't show up that were on the list. And somehow or other, what I put in there got erased. So I don't know why we didn't get that. But next week I will make sure it's better. The first speech was given by Nolan, and this was not a evaluated speech, but I will give a little bit of an evaluation of it just because I can. And that is, Nolan has been a very good speaker for a long time. Way back in the last century, when I first joined Toastmasters, Nolan was part of this club way off when we we used to go somewhere else. And so he's been around for a while. I really liked how he tried to bring himself into and be more personal with his audience. And I thought that was a very good point, instead of standing behind the lectern and but he actually brought himself out and in a way, he became a part of the audience in giving his speech. And that's a very good thing. I'd also like to evaluate Katie's speech. Katie is doing her icebreaker. I'm presuming that the name of it is Faith, Family, and Friends. So this was a very good speech. For a icebreaker, many times people have difficulty doing an icebreaker because it's their first time to get up speaking, but probably because of her history of doing so many community service things and becoming part of these groups, she actually is a very bold, clear speaker. And that is one of the things that I think that are her high points, something she's already bringing in. That she's a bold speaker, she gets up and she speaks clearly. She did a very good job. I was very happy with that. I think that we all got to know quite a bit about her because the person's faith is a very strong part of their personality, and just the fact that in speaking about herself, she focused on faith, family, and friends. That also gives us a very strong indication of the type of person she is. Okay, she did prepare very well. The one thing is she did seem to be using a lot of notes. And that's not a bad thing. That can be distracting in a way. And I think that overall, she had a good opening. She introduced herself, introduced what she was going to be speaking about, and then she spoke about it. I think her close could have been a little bit better, and that is the one thing that I think could have been improved, was to be able to close a little better, sum up what she was trying to, or close the deal, so to speak. Let us know what it is that she wanted us to take away when we go home. Other than that, I think that she is very good. What did I like about the presentation? Again, it was very clear. It showed her connection with faith, family, and friends. And she was very bold in her presentation. And those are all very good points to move forward in her future speaking career, speaking opportunities. Also, as general evaluator, I get the opportunity to have the other members of the evaluation team give their evaluation of the meeting. And so I would like to ask our timer first, that will be Justin, to give a report, the timer's report at this time.
Okay. Everyone's speeches were within the allotted time band, with the exception of Justin that came up about 10 seconds short. But they were all within the allotted range.
Well, the allotted range is a little bit before and a little bit after too.
Oh, okay.
So you were within your range.
Okay.
You have, I don't know on table topics, everything else it's like 15 seconds prior, 15 seconds after, and you're still in the range.
I see.
And then any more than that, if you were in a contest, you would be disqualified. Okay?
It has happened too.
No, I just blew it like the wind, I guess.
Okay. All right, and I would like to introduce our grammarian. And our grammarian is also Nolan. It's kind of unusual to have a guest who is also fulfilling two roles, but I'd like to have Nolan give his presentation as grammarian.
Nobody used the word of the day. I did hear quite a few ahs and ums.
Yeah.
We used to have a jar and a stack of pennies. Every time someone said ah or we would stuck a penny in that jar. It didn't take but a few of those to the ahs and ums cut out. I didn't hear any you-knows, and that's great. If you listen to TV, if you listen to the radio, there are so many you-knows, but I don't know if I knew. I wouldn't want to hear it from you. I enjoyed the meeting. I enjoyed Katie's icebreaker. Only thing I would like to comment on, there's two things that you want to do in a speech. Have a very strong opening sentence and a strong closing sentence. Your opening sentence was great. As Lawrence said, your closing could have been a little bit easier, and do not say thank you. The audience should say thank you to you for doing that speech.
Good. So our meeting went very well other than that, and I have started using, as you might have noticed, I've started using quite a bit more ahs and ums in the last, I don't know, about a year. I guess it's been starting to creep back in. So I need to get some kind of mental penny jar or something and start remembering those. But that is the general evaluation. I would like to bring our president back up to the lectern and turn the meeting over to his capable hands.
Don't turn the meeting over, then you got an upside down meeting.
Yeah, now we got an upside down meeting.
Well, at this time, I don't really have an educational overview except to say that I encourage you, when you get your Toastmasters magazines in the mail, if you don't read any articles, at least just open it and glance through it, and you might see something that will strike your interest, or something that will help you during your journey as a Toastmaster. And there are some interesting articles in this month's magazine. For example, this is an article called "A Living Treasure," I'm sorry. And it's a 92-year-old former marathon runner and World War II nurse. And her name is Betty Myers. So that's one of the articles in this month's issue of Toastmasters magazine. Not only does it give articles about Toastmasters or different people, it also gives articles about how to be a better speaker, how to be a better leader, some tips on speeches, tips on presenting yourself in front of the public. There are many things that are contained in this Toastmasters magazine. So that's the educational overview for tonight. At this time, do we have a agenda or a partial agenda for next week?
Nothing. Yes, we are going to have Justin do a icebreaker speech. Other than that, we are open to get any kind of anyone who has something that they would like to do. Are you going to be here next week, Peter?
Yes.
Do you want to take a position next week as?
I'll do table talks.
Are you going to be here next week?
Yes,
What would you like to do?
I'm going to do a speech.
Oh, that's right, you're giving a speech. Katie, what would you like to do?
I will be touring Biltmore House next Monday night, so could be out there ready for Christmas, candlelights and fireplaces. So excited.
Okay,
But I'll miss y'all.
yes. All right,
Well, I will make an effort to prepare a speech, but if not, then I will.
well, we're putting you in, so you're going to do a speech. Ready or not, you're going to do it. Okay, and we'll see if anybody else is coming next week,
Okay.
and then I'll fulfill all those obligations. And what's it say? What's it say?
Oh, this is some tea.
Tea?
Okay.
Beautiful, right?
So, if there is nothing else, we will adjourn the meeting. It's 7:44.
All right, okay.
Hey,
Can I have a word with you,
Sure.
Justin?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's up?
Easy speak stuff.
what's that?
Easy speak.
Yes. Let me log out and I'll show you how to log in. Easy Speak is a program that we're using now
for
to,
this 6 months.
to
For this 6 months.
basically do the agenda for the
It
meeting.
started in.
And when it's set up where you set up the agenda and you can set out various emails during the week to let people know what their responsibilities are going to be if they want to attend and so
Overall
on.
dues,
Um,
getting the magazines and all of that, so I think I
So,
gave a check when
See you
I
next week.
joined, or did I
log out.
Okay.
do that online, or how did that work? I'm not sure.
So,
Okay, but was
See
it
you later.
for the
Probably
last
here.
6 month period or was it for this 6 month? Because started, this 6 month period started in
Yeah.
October.
Oh, well, I have
I
in,
don't know how to
oh,
log
I
out.
didn't, well, I have on my check
That's interesting.
the,
I know how to log in,
period
but
that
I don't
I
know how to log
covered,
out.
so I
Okay.
can go back and look at it.
Okay.
Send an email.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
No
Okay.
Profile.
Because you have, I guess,
Log out.
40,
There we go. Ah, see, what do you
$47
mean? Huh?
covers
You
the
done-
local.
Okay,
stuff
when you
for
come
the
in
whole
here,
6
you're
months.
just gonna come up on this, right?
45 for
Now,
the international.
Do you know your username and
I have
password?
no idea what I've paid, so
I mean,
I
my
know I
username
thought I
for
wrote a check
Toastmasters
for
is
the
your
overall, and then I
email,
wrote a
so
check for the.
I haven't created
local
anything.
check.
Okay,
okay.
did-
So,
we
but I can
did,
go back.
Okay, we'll just,
Would have been in the.
Okay.
okay, all right.
yeah, it would have been in your, it would have been in your Easy Speak email. Wouldn't have been in this one.
That one easy speaking, though, I was gonna go. How do you do that?
Okay, here, let me do this.
You know your history.